Thank you for attending another one of our facilities services workshop. We have done a few of these, well, this is our third, so you can keep your eyes open in the Tennessee Today for advertisements of the different workshops that we're having. But we thank you for being here today. And the workshop today, Professional Tips for the Interior Painter, is presented by Bill Mills of the Paint and Sign Services. And Bill is a senior painter in facilities services, and whenever his supervisor is not around, he also steps into the supervisory role. He came to the University of Tennessee in 1995 as a carpenter, and during his time in carpentry services or building finishes as you know them, Bill has served in many areas, including doing masonry work, carpentry, furniture finishing, drywall finishing, and others. Some of them too many to name. But in 2007, he moved to Paint and Sign Services as a painter, and 8 years later, he is one of our experts in painting. In his spare time, Bill loves to fish, he hikes, and he loves to cook. And in fact, he has 2 Pinterest accounts showing all his cooking skills and his painting skills. So
I need
can
to
look
start
for
knowing
him.
you. Tweet that to YouTube.
Yeah. He is an active member also of his church and can be found on Sunday mornings teaching Sunday school. Today, he's going to be assisted by Ron Couch, who is the supervisor in Paint and Sign Services. And so, ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Mr. Bill Mills.
Hi, I'm glad y'all came out today and to support us in this workshop. And we'll do our best to teach you some techniques and some things about painting that maybe you just didn't know, and that will help you to paint at home and give you just a little better insight on it. Our workshop today on pre-painting preparation and paint cleanup, that's our outline today that I'd like to teach you all. And what is pre-painting preparation include? It's patching, cover-up, and when I say cover-up, I'll get to that in a minute with all of our stain blockers and things of that nature. Taping, types of brushes and walls that you might encounter in your home to paint. We built some little dummy walls here to kind of give you a better, I always feel like you're better off if I can see it. I understand what you're talking about more than just telling you about it, so a little hands-on stuff. What we have here is just a basic sheetrock wall, and if y'all are kind of like my wife, she loves hanging pictures, driving all kind of nails in the wall and hangers, and I got to go through and pull all those out. And here at the university, we run into a lot of these. A lot of people don't use these at home. Some of you may, and they leave kind of a really bad hole in the sheetrock. And when we approach those, we're like, you know, that's going to be a problem to really work on. My suggestion with these is when you have a hole like that, you see how fuzzy that is. You just can't mud over that. That paper's just going to keep walking back with you. So take something like your putty knife or something like that, and if you'll round that edge, see how much cleaner that edge is, and then you can take and round those edges, take that excess paper off, that thing will mud. It'll mud right up for you. And I have a little bit of just a all-purpose joint compound that you can buy at your Lowe's, local hardware store. You don't have to buy a 5-gallon bucket. Probably go bad on you. But they'll come in gallon buckets and get something like that. But then that just gives you just a little better. And see how smooth that turns out? Now you'll go back, let that dry. It'll sink in a little bit with you. Come back, just give it a second coat. You can lightly sand that. You end up with a beautiful wall. I draw this is a stress crack. Some of our older homes, we're going to have stress cracks and things of that nature. We start this project with all of our patching and you know, you can't start painting, your paint job is going to be as good as your patch job is. If you just half patch it and just jump into it, you're not going to end up with good results. So my thing is I like to really be OCD about it and really get it right the first time. So some of these stress cracks, if they're not really bad in your home, I would just caulk those, kind of smooth it down with a putty knife, and a little secret, take a wet rag and just kind of wipe over that, and it'll take all that residue off, make a good clean edge. But when we get into those really big ones, I take a utility knife, and I'll just cut kind of like a V in that thing. Just follow that crack all the way down, cut a V, cut that crack out a little bit, give myself a little bit of, get rid of all that bad edge that's in there. And then I'll come back after I've cut that crack out, and then I will finish that edge up, and I end up with a good product, you know, that I'm proud of, good clean edge that I can work with and prime. Now, some of your bigger holes, maybe the kids have thrown the door in and knocked a hole in with the doorknob. There's some neat products out now that we can use to eliminate those holes. I did one here just for an example. This is what it'll look like when you get done. And you can sand that, and I'll show you in a few minutes when we get on into the rest of this. But these are neat little patches. They have a little piece of metal in them with a little sticky back, mesh tape on the back of them. Let me get my hands free where I can show you this. And this mesh tape that's on these is self-adhesive. So we'll just take that, just center that up with your hole there that you want to patch. Just kind of rub it down there. And
Is that at Lowe's or Home Depot too?
yes, you can pick these up. Now, if we get real creative, we get to jumping on the bed, they even have them the size of a small child's booty. So we need to patch those, you know. They get to jumping on the bed, and I even talked to some lady here the other day. She said her sister fell down the steps and stuck her head through the wall.
Oh, no.
Probably wouldn't patch my head, but maybe somebody a little smaller. But and what we do with this, we'll go in. We run into these a lot here at campus. Some of these kids, they'll really let the door fly when they leave. But if you'll just take and put your joint compound over that, now you're not going to cover this the first time. This usually takes about 3 applications to really make it look nice. But pull it down real nice like that. And you know what I like to do? I like to go back, and we have several different knives, and you can buy these. This is more expensive. This is professional grade stainless steel pan, but you've seen the little red plastic ones at Lowe's. They work just as good. All you need is a trough to hold your mud. You can pick these up fairly reasonable, up to $4 to $5. And after you patch that, what you want to do, let that dry, and then come back over it with even a wider knife. And see, that allows you to feather out those edges. Pull it in here and feather your edges down. Lightly sand that. And this is what I did to this. And you can feel these edges after the class, and they're pretty smooth. But now, as we all know, you need a good caulk gun, so I'd invest in, you know, they have these fairly reasonable, I think $7, $8, and you pick these up to caulk any type of holes you may have. And this also is about, what, $5 a bag at Lowe's, Home Depot. Now, this is quick setting. They have different types. This is 45 minute. It's supposed to dry hard. They have it 5 minute. They have it 20 minute. But you know, this, ladies, I'll just put it to you like this. You put it in a pan. You want it about the same consistency as that. And what I do is add just a little bit of water, mix it up, about like you mix a cake batter, cornbread, and you get it to about this consistency. You can smear it on just like that. It dries. It dries pretty quick if you're in a rush. But most of our cleanups, we're talking about patching and getting rid of all these holes. I have some stuff right here, the same stuff that they're showing in this bottom picture here. This mesh tape. You can pick that up yourself. It's just like our little patch was. It's sticky on the back, and you can put that over those cracks, some of the wider places, mud them in, really works great. And I really recommend that for patching various spots. But your prep work, I can't stress it enough, how important it is to get it right. And all these patches that I've showed you here, when they dry, I'm gonna come back, and there's various types of these. They're called sanding sponges. One side of this one's coarse, a little finer on this side, and or medium. It's a coarse to medium. And this one is considered a fine sandpaper. This fine will do. It'll sand any of these that I want to sand, you know, to and just basically the way I do this, I work on the edge of it a little bit here, come across the middle, and it's all hands on. If I want to fill that, I don't feel any humps, I don't feel any bumps. I'm good to go. Then, before I can finish that, I need a good cover up. And as you see in the picture up here where the vents are, now those are water stains. What you're going to have on water stains is a good oil base cover up. And you want a good oil base stain blocker, and not promoting any. You can buy it in a spray can. You got small areas, or you can buy it by the gallon. You can buy it by 5 gallons, but I don't think you're going to have to go that far. On crayon, permanent marker, things of this nature, you're going to want a good oil base type to cover it up, because you know what? Those are going to keep bleeding through and keep bleeding through. If you try to paint over those, you'll never cover. And you'll need a good oil base cover up for those type jobs. Now this, on the end, it's a latex primer, we call it. It's not a stain blocker, it's a primer. But what I do with primer, after I've sanded my area, I want to prime that area and cover it good with a good primer. But one other suggestion I have, a little trick of the trade, after that primer dries, I like to go back with the wall color that I'm going to paint this, and I want to prime it again with that wall color and let it dry before I cut it in and roll it out. Actually, I'm giving it an extra coat, but it will hide the area that I want to cover. Do you see this area up here in the top corner? This guy's stressing over that. He's painted that with no primer. And so you'll not hide that patch where it was patched, because it'll keep sucking the paint up, and he didn't prime it. Now, brushes are very important. We'll get to those in just a minute. And it's very important to pick the right paint for the job. You know, and this door on the bottom right-hand side, what has happened there is someone came along and painted latex paint over oil. Now, you may not know this, but latex will not grab into oil-based paint. After a while, it'll hold on there the first couple of coats, but then after a while, it starts letting go. Yeah?
If it's already on the wall, how can you tell the difference possibly if it's latex?
Good question. Take you some denatured alcohol on a rag, and if it's latex paint on your baseboard or on your wall, whatever you're doing, just rub a little spot. And if that paint comes off on that rag, it's latex. But if it's oil-based paint, won't touch it. It'll just clean it up good for you. But that's the way to tell. See, they painted that door there with latex. Now you can paint latex over oil, but there's preparation that's got to take place. You need to lightly sand that area. Take you a good oil base stain blocker, paint that door with it, let it dry, come back, put your paint on, and it'll stay. Different types of tape. We use this tape a lot, but we pull this tape a lot because you can't leave this tape on for a long period of time. It'll damage your woodwork, it'll pull off, you know, paint. It's got good adhesive on the back of it. I would recommend for the household just some good old blue painter's tape, because it'll seal for you, and it's easy to peel back off. You can put it on sensitive surfaces without doing any damage. It'll keep it down to a minimum, you know, if any at all. And This is a really good product. When you want to clean up, it's goof off. You get paint out of the carpet with it. You drop your paint, but I recommend you paint and keep a wet rag with you to clean up those little spots immediately. Latex, you can clean it right out of the carpet, but this is good stuff. How many of you uses the double back sticky tape? And they'll put that on the wall. But when you pull it off, it leaves a lot behind. Sometimes it takes part of the wall out and we have to kind of cut out around it and patch that place. But this is excellent for taking glue, paint on the baseboard you don't want on there. This is great for cleanup, the goof off and things of that nature. All right, before we can tape, there's a little bit of prep work needs to take place. And hopefully I can teach you a little something here today about that. You see up here in our top corner how he's cleaning the base. I don't care how good a housekeeper you are, you're still going to gather dust bunnies behind the couch and stuff on the baseboard. So we need to go through there with a damp cloth and clean those baseboards good so our tape will stick to it. And so he's cleaning the base off, getting it ready, and top right hand corner, he's keeping that tape good and straight. You want a good straight tape line. Try your best not to get way up on the wall, especially if you're changing colors on the wall, because if you do, when you pull that tape, guess what? The old color's still there. You got to come back and try to cut all that in. But what I would recommend is try to keep it just as straight as you can keep it there on the baseboard. And here's a little trick that a lot of people don't know. You see this one here? Do you see where this guy's hand is and how he's pulling down? When you remove that tape, always pull down from here and pull it away from the wall down. Because if you try to pull up on that tape, if I stand here, if I get lazy and I say, I'm just going to pull it out that way, guess what? Sometimes it'll grab the edge of that paint, rip a big place in my paint job. So there's little tricks to all that. Just kind of pull it down away from the wall, and then there won't be no accidents. As we get on into our brushes and our latex and oil, there's a big difference there. And talks about brushes versus rollers. When am I going to need those? Well, if I'm going to paint this wall, I'm not going to want to brush the whole thing. I'm not going to want to brush the whole living room. So I'm going to want to pick me a good brush. I'm going to want to cut this in to my trim. And I'm going to want to do some prep work here and tape anything that I don't want to get paint on. But as much as we paint, normally I'll carry a wet rag in case I make a bad stroke and hit the trim. I can wipe it immediately off and it'll come right off. But how do I know what brush? If it's oil-based, you need a thinner rag. Yeah, that's good. If you're doing your baseboard, we'll get into those. Latex, it's water cleanup. And I'll tell you a little rule of thumb about that. Usually if you turn that can around and you read on the back, and whatever it says to clean it up with, that's usually what will thin that too. Like with latex, if I want to thin it, I'll just add a little water in it, stir it up, thins it right down. But it'll also clean it up. And with oil-based paints, thinner. The good old paint thinner, mineral spirits, will clean it up in a hurry. And I'll usually, if we're painting oil here at work, painting frames or anything like that, y'all come by us and we smell funny, we've got thinner on a rag and we're ready to get it off the floor or anywhere it may drip, you know. But as far as latex, you're going to want to paint most of your walls in your house latex. I wouldn't recommend painting with oil, but there's a different types of brushes. We have I'm not promoting any name brands now. I'll just tell you these are good brushes that we brought today to show you. They're similar to the brushes that you got here today. Those are awesome little brushes, by the way, that y'all have. You'll really like that brush. And you have brushes that have china bristles in them, which those white china bristles are for oil. They're recommended for an oil-based paint. your nylon brushes like you have in your hand, that's a latex brush. That's to paint your wall at home, your bathroom. That's a good latex brush. And if you take care of that brush, it'll last you a long time. And we'll get to that area in just a little bit, how to take care of that. But as far as brushes versus rollers, there's all types of rollers. You say, well, how do I know what roller nap? This is a roller nap. This is a roller frame. But some of the things that I know you're going to be familiar with, most everybody as a homeowner has one of these. At some point in time, we've got one of them. The little metal ones, I always like picking them up like this, and all my paint just, and I'm like, wow, how'd they do that? So I pick it up again like that. And these are pretty common. I don't recommend them. And I'll tell you why. That costs probably $4, $5. I can buy a bucket at Lowe's for $2. A good bucket that will set up. I can put plenty of paint in it. I don't have to keep filling that little flimsy pan. And I can buy one of these good, it's bucket screen, bucket grid. I call them grids. They're screens to roll my paint roller on to get all the paint off of it. And guess what, guys? If I get tired and I want to go to bed, I take me a garbage bag, put right over the top of this, kind of tie it up a little bit, go to bed, get up the next morning, my paint's as fresh as it was the day I started painting with it.
You can leave your brush in there?
Yep. I'll tell you a secret. I painted the shutters at home, and what I did, it clouded up and started raining, so I had to stop. I didn't want to get in the middle of the shutter and it rain on me. So I took it and put it in a baggie, rolled it up, put it in the refrigerator, and it stayed for a week like that. My wife said, "You're still like a shutter." I said, "I know, I get it." But, you know, it's sort of rule of thumb. Painter's house needs to be painted, and mechanic's car needs to be fixed. That's just the way it goes. But we have so many products on the market today. Now, we call these are mini coaters. These are little bitty rollers, and you may not be familiar with them, but you should get familiar with them. It's called a mini coater, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to go on a job without one, because there's so many times I get in those small areas, especially at home, behind the commode, the sink, you can just whiz that right in there, and it covers so good. These are something that you're probably not much familiar with. These are called strainer bags. Now, we take these strainer bags, this is for a gallon bucket. Have you ever just stored the paint out in the garage or somewhere and then go to pour it up and it's all clabbered and bad? These are perfect for straining. Just put this over your gallon bucket, pour your paint in there. Just kind of pull it up out there and let it drain good. You can rinse these out and use them over and over. But it catches all the trash, all the bad stuff that's in your paint, and you got a smooth run of paint. And they come for 5 gallon buckets, and just an all good purpose. And if you really get bored, it's a great mosquito net. Yeah, it's just one of the all-purpose things. You just got to use your imagination. All types of roller handles. Most of us, we have a wooden screw-in type handle, and we'll use that. Why? They're $3. You know, I'm not going to paint the rest of my life. I just need a $3 handle, which works perfect. You can get those in different sizes and not just saw them off. They're too long in the rain. And these, we use a lot of these. I carry this in my paint bag. It's just in some of these offices we go in, we have to move the furniture to the middle, and I've got about that much room to roll. So I need something short to get around in there.